It is our traditions, ceremonies, and rituals. Each small detail carries a deep layer of our ancestors' wisdom. It is our pride, our treasure, our national encyclopedia. Let's turn the pages of this encyclopedia together. Modern life of every person is measured by time. We look at the clock 1,000 times after we wake up in the morning until we go to sleep at night. We try not to let time go by. Nowadays, the special courses of time management have become popular. These courses teach people to manage their time. So, does time control us, or do we manage it? How did our nomadic ancestors measure time, count days and years without watches and modern calendars? The scientists who studied East and Central Asia say that the ancient inhabitants of this area, nomads, studied the space and left a lot of information and knowledge about it. For example, the Jupiter calendar with 12 animals was invented by the nomadic people of Central Asia. The calendar, which was first used in the Great Steppe, is now known as the Chinese calendar. Ethnographers who studied the traditions of nomads called the Kazakh yurts the first observatory in the history of mankind. The calendar of nomads is based on the time division into 12 periods. Why is this calendar called Jupiter calendar? Because this division is connected to the motion of Jupiter. According to the canons of astronomy, Jupiter makes a complete circle around the Sun once in 12 years.
24 amal degenimiz 24 жұлдыз.
24 actions. 24 actions are 24 stars, and 24 stars are 12 months. There are 12 stars in 1 month.
Толымдар дейтін. Оны жақсы білетін дүние жүзінде мисал үшін Шамсия есебі деген бар.
There is a calculation of Shamsiya. It is calculation of days. Kamarian calculation is months calculation. In addition, there is a circle of stars. The Kazakh knew this counting very well. They grazed cattle, heated the stoves, were involved in farming and poultry, knew a lot about plants and the cycle of stars. They knew how to choose the right time for wintering, for shearing, what time to move to wintering or summer pasture, what time is the best to plant crops. Looking at the stars, they determined when which star was born. Which side is the Big Dipper directed to? They knew these things perfectly. And they knew that the Earth goes around the Sun. The planet spins very fast, like a spindle. In ancient times, the Tengrian calendar came to China from the Great Steppe. In Chinese history, there was a tradition associated with the chronology. The Emperor Zhu went on journey across his country 5 times at different times of the year. This is very similar to the movement of nomads. In the winter, they moved to wintering. In the spring, to the spring pasture. In the summer, to the summer pastures. And in the autumn, they stayed on the summer pastures. It is a calendar knowledge. We need to calculate months and years. Everyone knows that one cycle consists of 12 years, which we associate with 12 animals. So, when a circle of 12 years is finished, it's one cycle, which we call mushel. As far as we know, it is a Chinese tradition, but behind this tradition there are 5 sacred elements of nature connected with the chronology. The origin of these elements goes to ancient times. How to calculate the correspondence of these 5 elements of nature, fire, water, earth, metal, wood, to 12 years. For example, a person who was born in the year of horse, in the year of fire, then after 12 years, this year of horse, comes again, and in the 5th repeat of the year of horse, man will turn 61 years old. The Kazakhs call it Big Mushel. The Kazakhs have a legend about 12 months of the year. The animals heard about the start of the new year and agreed that the one who sees the sun first, from that animal the time counting and new year will start. The camel knew that he was the tallest of all animals and was sure he will be the first to see the sunrise. But it was a cunning mouse who saw the sunrise first by as he had climbed Camel's head. An angry camel ran after the mouse and fell into the abyss. So the proverb was born. The camel relied on his tall height and was left with nothing. The word mushel is derived from the Kazakh word mushe, which in translation means organ, part of the body. In the Kazakh medicine, the human body is divided into 12 parts. This doctrine was officially prohibited by the Soviet Union since 1926 because it shows the life philosophy of the Kazakh people.
Қазақтың өзінің түсінігі бойынша, мәселен, кішкентай балалардың
For example, small children grow up and then start to help on the farm. In science, this is called initiation. When the child reaches the age of 7, parents give him sheep for grazing. They put him on a saddle for the first time. This tradition is called atqa minер tohum qagar.
қоз жаюға көмектесе бастайтын болғандықтан сол алғаш атқа мінгізіп, атқа мінер, тоқым қағар деген салттар.
This period can be called a half of mushel. It is a designation of the child's social status, determining his or her status as a small member of society who helps in household.
Қоғамның кішкентай бір
Adding the time of being in utero, 13 years are considered the first mushel. It is a period when the child passes from the childhood to adolescence. Thus, the person passes different social periods. The person reaches 25 years. If he or she gets married, then he or she should settle down.
ер бала болса, бозбалалық кезеңге өту деген әртүрлі әлеуметтік кезеңдерін.
The childhood is called the age of a lamb. And when the child grew up, this age was designated as sheep age.
Ақыл тоқтатқан жігіт жағын белгілейді. Бұны енді жаңа жоғарыда айтқандай қазақ өз.
This means he reached the age when he could graze the sheep. The second mushel, which starts from the age of 25, was called the age of the horse. It is the age when the person has already become mature and he or she has developed physically and has good spiritual culture.
Жылқы жасы деп айтады. Мысалы, жылқы бағатын кезі әбден кемелденіп, толысқан күш қайраты да, ақыл есі барлығы жетілгендіктен бұны жылқы жасы деп атайды.
The transition from one mushel to another is accompanied by health deterioration, psychological and personal difficulties. In this period, the man tried to defend himself against the evil eye, kept his age in secret. And when he was asked, "How old are you?" he answered by adding or subtracting a couple of years from his actual age if he was in the age of mushel. The Kazakhs did not celebrate birthdays. Old people, centenarians, did not calculate their age at all. The Mongolians considered the third mushel, 37 years, and the sixth mushel, 73 years, the most dangerous. By the way, they added to their age time spent in utero. What is mushel? Let's take bamboo or reed as an example. It grows and has a first, second, third knee. The knee is a place of the fold. In the winter, during the wind, the reed breaks in the place of this knee. So, in such analogy, and mushel was considered as a kind of knee of life. It is a very difficult period. 37 years comprise 3 mushels. There is saying one can destroy the ord at the age of 30. If the person does not destroy the ord at the age of 30, then it will not be possible to seize the fortresses at the age of 40. After the third mushel, another 36 years are required for the further maturation of the person. In other words, 3 mushels are needed. These years are called the time of life understanding. During this period, the person gets married, starts family, builds house, gives birth to the children, works for the benefit of people.
Ары қарай енді келесілерінде әрине енді ел ағасы бола бастады. Қара сақал деп белгілейді мәселен.
In the next period, the person becomes respectable among people. He participates in public affairs. He can give advice to young people. People call them karasakal. In translation, it means person with black beard. Not in the literal sense, the word black has wider meaning. In this context, it means reaching the considerable age by this person. And people call aksakal 60 years old man. 25, 37, 49, 61, according to the concepts of our ancestors, Big Michel is when the person reaches the year of element of nature when he was born. And it is 61 years. This is Big Michel. Earlier in ancient times, it was very rare when the person could reach Big Michel or lived longer.
Көне дәуірлерде адамның мысалы табиғатқа әбден тәуелді болған кездерінде сол көмішелден асып жасайтын адамдар өте сирек кездескен.
Modern medicine has proved that certain physiological changes take place in the body of the person who reached the age of Michel. For example, the hormonal system of the person changes, it temporarily loses its balance. At the age of 13, the puberty starts. At the age of 25, the human body stops growing. The age of 37 years is called the period of psychological crisis. The American scientists call this period the shadow period of human life. At the age of 49, the sexual function and fertility goes down.
Белгілі бір мүшелден келесі мүшелге өту аралығында жас қой жаңағы айтып отырғанымыз 25.
Transition from one Michel to another, now we're talking about the ages of 25, 37 years. It is a peculiar transition period.
Жылға дейінгі уақыттың аралығын жалпы
The period of transition from one Michel to another, approximately from 1.5 to 2 years, is a very dangerous period because the most important changes in the human body take place during this time.
өзгерісі биологиялық тұрғыдан, физиологиялық тұрғыдан өзгерістерге ұшырап жатады. Мысалы менің ғылымда айтып жатыр.
The scientists say that blood chemistry changes, it's renewed. In general, the body undergoes the great changes. Psychological state of the person is different. The person has reached a certain level and the body adapts to this level. It is believed that these changes provoke exacerbation of the existing diseases.
Өзгерістерге сай сақ болу керек. Өзгерістер қандай да бір мәселен.
These changes lead to relapses. That is why, according to the beliefs of the Kazakhs, the person should be very careful during this period.
Қазақтың өзі халықтық білімі тәжірибесі бойынша аса сақ болуды жақсы көреді, құптайды.
Different rituals performed during the age of Michel are symbolic signs of life and death. For example, at the end of the 12-year circle, the person dies and is born again in the new period. Nomads believed that the person passes the next stage of the evolutionary development with a transition from one Michel to another. Therefore, when the person passed the age of one Michel, people cooked 7 shilpeks, traditional flatbread, celebrated and performed various ceremonies.
Ырым жаңағы қауіппен өзіне келе жатқан қатерден сақтану. Көзге көрінбейтін жаңағы
There are certain rituals to protect against upcoming threat.
Садақа беру дейді. Ол енді ұстанып қалған жол болғаннан кейін.
The person should sacrifice something to protect against invisible evil forces. If the 12-year cycle was ending in the year of the sheep, then people wore clothes of brown color.
Сондықтан оны сөз жоқ беруге тиісті болады. Мүшел жасында 12 жылға байланысты.
In the year of the rooster, clothes of red color, like the color of scallop. In the year of the snake, they wore long dresses. So people wore certain clothes during the year, and if the year passed successfully, they sacrificed some small things. It's like person says, I'm alive, thank you. This is ritual. As per Sangreism, time is eternal and it cannot be measured by numbers. Numbering is linear and the age of Michel has no beginning and has no end. The concept of Michel can be fully used in our everyday life as a certain compass of life. Our ancestors left us information on the way to live, following the sun in harmony with nature and the outer space. That's why nomads have always been on the move. The Kazakh village does not exist in the way it used to be, and there are no nomads, wandering people. But most of prairie folkways and traditions still surround us. We follow them, but we not always know what they mean. Bahit Kairbekov, poet.
On history.
Half-ruined castles, ancient towns, mysterious caves. Every year, archaeologists find hundreds of artifacts. To find the truth and unravel what's left to us from our ancestors, the Crew of Archaeology Mystery of History program, together with scientists, are investigating objects found on site of historic events. Watch our program and get ready for exciting discoveries.
The land of Kazakhstan keeps many secrets. Its boundless steppes once were a scene for historical happenings of the world. Mass migration of tribes and development of trade, these and many other processes are proved to happen with the evidence of numerous archaeological finds. But there are many more puzzles for scientists to continue working on. We are on Lake Bory. This is Pavlodar. This lake here is 100 kilometers from Pavlodar, 100 kilometers to the southeast from Pavlodar. Archaeologists of the Pavlodar Center of Archaeology had made yet another discovery. They found a unique Neolithic monument next to the ancient Lake Bory. Right in this square we found parts of a ceramic vessel. By the wall here was a hearth 15-20 centimeters deep. We found stone tools inside and a bone artifact. It used to be a pendant made of animal teeth. Simple bone pendant and 2 animal teeth, which were meant to be used for other reasons as well. Over here was a big pit about 1 meter deep, filled with animal bones and stone tools. Down on the bottom laid a stone hack.
Глубиной около метра, заполненная костями животных и каменными орудиями. Внизу, на самом дне этой ямы, лежала каменная мотыга.
The village, exceptionally interesting from the historical point of view, was found by a lucky coincidence.
Ну, нашли, можно сказать, случайно.
We might say we found it by chance with the help of our activists. One of our employees at the university is native to these places, comes here for vacations and knows the lake very well. Once upon walking in the water, he found a piece of ancient-looking pottery and brought it to me. I asked him then about where he got it. He replied, in Lake Bory.
Где он нашел? Он сказал, озеро Борлы.
Well, first impressions when we came here, he showed me where exactly he had found it. I went into the water, looked at the shore. I noticed bones protruding from the soils, pieces of pottery and stone tools. There were plenty of similar artifacts in the water as well. I was very excited because there were these big chunks of ceramics, seemingly from Neolithic era, exactly which were lacking at the time. Let's consider Shiderti 3 settlement. It has great stratigraphy, various stone tools, however, not too many expressive ceramics pieces, especially the kind which could give an idea about cultural identity of the dwellers. And then we find here very graphic ornamented elements. It was clear to me right there that it was a unique settlement.
Ясно, что это уникальное поселение.
This is like finding a lost piece of the mosaic and finally being able to assemble a complete picture, explains his enthusiasm Viktor Merz. He is known as an expert in the Stone Age within the country and abroad. He is the director of the Center for Archaeological Research of Pavlodar State University. For many years, Viktor Merz led the majority of expeditions in the region. This expedition on Lake Joly, he believes, would be the special one. His expertise suggests that Lake brinks were inhabited from the ancient times.
Ну, приблизительно.
It could be approximately 10,000 years ago when people settled here for a full dew. Throughout this time and up to our times, settlements existed along different parts of the coast.
Существовали поселения, вплоть до современности.
Therefore, expectations were very high for the excavations. After the first day of working, they were fully justified. Scientists are examining the found materials in the laboratory.
Этому сосуду около 6000 лет.
This vessel is about 6,000 years old. This is fairly advanced ceramics. I might provide you with such example. This item is 6,000 years old and this one is 4,000 years old. They are very similar in quality and composition. But this is the Bronze Age and this is the Neolithic era. However, the most surprising thing was not simply finding a piece with 6,000 years of existence. Experts were astonished after realizing that it belonged to the culture previously uncharacteristic for the region.
Чем уникально это поселение?
This settlement is unique due to the fact that we've discovered ceramics of Barbarican archaeological culture. It was previously known only in the territory of Western Siberia, and in 2008 we found similar ceramics here. Since then, we conduct the study of the artifact. This is what they look like, these vessels with such vertical wavy ornament. It is not yet possible to reconstruct the vessel completely, but we can imagine what it looked like. In order to restore it fully, we still need to excavate several large squares, where the fragments of the vessel might have got to. You see, this wavy vertical pattern, made by way of stretching or scribing, well, this method characterizes this unusual culture.
Прочерчивание, скажем так, он как раз и характеризует эту необычную культуру.
Unusual not just for Kazakhstan, but for Western Siberia as well, says scientists. Lake Joly opens yet other unexplored secrets.
Западносибирские исследователи считают, что это...
Researchers of Western Siberia believe that origins of this culture are related to the southern territories, particularly to Asia Minor and the Armenian highlands, where they drew certain parallels in ceramics production, in shapes and ornamental compositions, and so on and so forth. So maybe people were migrating through Central Asia along the Irtysh River Valley, and that is how they got to Trans-Ural region. Scientist colleagues confirm that this is completely a new way of looking at the history of the great migration of tribes. Viktor Merz is confident that continuing archaeological works at Lake Joly site will result in further discoveries, formation of new hypotheses, and unraveling of scientific mysteries. All because the entire territory of Kazakhstan is in itself the oldest evidence of the origins and decline of nations and nationalities, their demographic and cultural interweaving. Traces of their existence are yet to be read by paleontologists and archaeologists. Sometimes they manage to make truly amazing discovery.
Сол кезеңде тағы да бір айтып кететін нәрсе.
During the excavation of the settlement in 1967, scientist Orazbayev, who studied the Bronze Age in depth, had found an item made out of bone. After carefully examining this artifact, he published his findings in a newspaper and expressed the opinion that those might have been skates. Later, British scientist Joseph Puchko proved it.
Ағылшын ғалымы Joseph Puchko деген оны дәлелдеп.
This time, the excavation's results on Lake Joly also drew attention of foreign scholars, particularly of Cambridge University. They're exploring the ways through which millet first got from China to Europe. New data from Pavlodar about migration of tribes can be very helpful to them. Meanwhile, Kazakh archaeologists continue making discoveries. Joly settlement in itself is unique in that we found remains of domesticated animals, cattle and horses, which to date are the earliest on the territory of Kazakhstan. This means that cattle breeding appeared much earlier in Kazakh steppes that was previously assumed by scientists.
Это было поселение древних скотоводов.
It was a settlement of ancient herdsmen. perhaps the first pastoralists on the territory of Kazakhstan. 20-30 years ago, it was a sensation when we discovered the Neolithic Butai culture of early horse breeders here, which dated to the 3rd millennium BC. This monument dates back to the 4th-5th millennium BC, which makes it 1,000 years older.
Датируется рубежом 4-5 тысячелетия до нашей эры, то есть еще до 1000 лет древнее.
Archaeological excavations revealed that tribes inhabiting the area next to the Lake Borly were sedentary.
Судя по характеру этого поселения, это было стационарное поселение, то есть это было придомное скотоводство, не кочевое. То есть люди, если скот...
Judging by the nature of the settlement, it was a stationary settlement, meaning it was a by-the-house cattle breeding, not nomadic. There was no need for people to move long distances. Cattle would move from one area to another and graze nearby. There was enough nutrition and resources to allow all year round breeding of certain amount of cattle. According to planography of this settlement, there was a well, around a dozen houses, each of which could accommodate one family. It was not a large town with 50 to 70 dwellers, including children, women, elderly and adult men.
Могло проживать, в каждом из которых могла проживать одна семья. То есть небольшой поселок в пределах 50-70 человек, ну, вместе с детьми, женщинами, стариками.
It turns out that 6,000 years ago, tribes inhabiting Kazakhstan were milking cows, mares and were riders.
Ну, прежде всего, это обилие костей этих животных, специализировано. Мало костей диких животных. Вот. Это уже
First of all, there's this abundance of bones of these domesticated animals, not too many wild animals' bones. This is indicative of the fact that apparently there was no need to hunt, since horses were grazing right here and they had control over them. Second, the presence of cattle bones, and third, there are these morphological characteristics, or rather not even morphological, but pathological. Changes in structure of the bones, forming of excrescences and calyces on bones. These changes occur when, for instance, a horse is being tied up or carries the load or being mounted. We found bones with such changes.
Тягловое животное или верховое, там происходят эти изменения.
This allows us to construct new hypotheses considering the ways domestication of horses and cattle took in Eurasia.
В культурном слое памятника огромное количество костей лошади и крупного рога.
The cultural layer of the site contains great number of horse and cattle bones. The number of horse bones prevails, but the presence of cattle bones suggests a complex farm. It might have been an interesting symbiosis here. The horse was domesticated probably in the steppe zone A in Asia Minor territory. Cattle were first domesticated in the highlands of Armenia. Most probably those people came down from there into the steppe zone or from the steppe zone of the western Siberia into Kazakhstan. They came as cattle breeders. Perhaps they were the first Indo-Aryans.
Те люди, которые оттуда пришли в степную зону, лесостепную зону Западной Сибири и Казахстана, они пришли как скотоводы, которые разводили крупный рогатый скот. Возможно, это были первые индоарии.
To test his assumptions, the Kazakhstani scientist turned to foreign colleagues. He managed to get some answers.
Безусловно, открытие...
Without any doubt, the initial discovery is the fact that this is the earliest settlement found containing remains of the animals. In any case, I have full trust in paleozoology definitions. One of the principal experts, Leonid Gaidushenko, who worked in Kazakhstan his whole life, as well as a British scholar Alan Outram, who came here and worked as geophysicist, also studied the bones of our animals. In addition, they have taken samples for further genetic analysis.
Который приезжал и занимался у нас геофизикой и изучал кости наших животных. Кроме того, они сейчас взяли образцы на генетические исследования.
At the moment, archaeologists continue their work. With the help of modern technology, they were figuring out how an ancient settlement was situated.
Перед нами результаты геофизического исследования, проведенные на данном поселении, вот, с помощью которых мы можем определить.
These are the results of the geophysical studies carried out in this settlement. Using these, we can figure out the planography of this village. Here are the remains of rectangular dwellings. They are shown as these dark bands. You can see that there was a hut in the center of the home. It is drawn as a dark dot. One dwelling is attached to another here.
В виде темного пятна. Вот. Одно жилище пристроено к другому.
The settlement stretches along the brink. It is yet to be unearthed completely, to be safe for posterity, protected from destructive waves of the lake. The excavations on Lake Borly settlement will continue.
Жалпы жаңа айтып кеткен 6-3 мыңжылдықтың ортасында бұл археологияда мысты тас дәуірі деп аталады. Бұл мыстың өте игерілген кезеңі.
A period between 6th and 3rd millennium is usually referred to as Chalcolithic period, a time when people mastered working with copper, then bronze things appeared after mixing tin and copper. These periods are not well studied. The cultures of these times today are mainly studied in vicinities of western Kazakhstan, northeastern Kazakhstan, in vicinities of the Irtysh River.
Солтүстік шығыс өлкелерде ертіс бойында осы мәдениеттер туралы зерттеп жүрген.
Further on, many other discoveries could be made here. Lands of Kazakhstan are ready to reveal their secrets to country's finest scholars. It is possible that it could change our perception of the ancient history in the future.